Hi, everybody, and welcome to the WHUTCast Hot Take Series. The Hot Take Series is a brief look that we do every time a new wave of Warhammer Underworlds releases comes out. And here we're looking at the brand new Magore's Fiends expansion. Magore, not sure how it's supposed to be pronounced, but they are the Blood Warriors faction, the Blood Warriors of Khorne. So yeah, during the Hot Take series, we take a look at the new cards. We get our initial impressions of them without a lot of research done. This is the spiciest hot take that I have upon immediately seeing the card. And as the series goes on, we'll kind of theorycraft about how this is going to affect your meta going forward, whether you're playing as them or playing against them, or just building your decks with an understanding of what you could be facing in your next tournament. So let's jump right into it. We'll start with the leader, Magore Redhand. I love Khorne names because they are so hilariously overdone. Okay, so top to bottom, he is the leader. He is going to... He's got a pretty standard attack from any strong melee character you would expect. Melee range, 2 hammers, 2 damage. Nothing to write home about except he's got cleave base right out of the box. Not too shabby. There's... With this set of expansions, the Farce Riders and Magore's Fiends, the meta has slightly shifted. So that now a little over 50% of the warbands that you theoretically could be going against is going to have block defense dice. So, okay. His Inspire condition. One of this fighter's attack actions succeeds. That's it. All you got to do is hit somebody and succeed at it. That's really easy to pull off, especially because I'm imagining that that Khorne is any kind of Khorne, whether it's Blood Reavers or Blood Warriors, is going to be very aggressive. I would be really surprised if there was a bunch of cards built around not attacking somebody. So this is one of the stronger Inspire conditions that we've seen in the game. It's very easy to pull off. One would wonder, typically when something is very easy to inspire, the change from uninspired to inspired isn't that huge. We'll see. 3 movement, very average. 1 block defense dice. And 4 health. So basically he's very similar to a Stormcast. He's very similar to an Orc. Pretty standard stuff from what we would expect. Let's get him excited. Let's say he has managed to successfully smack somebody. Blood is flowing in the name of Khorne. Okay, Magore inspired. His axe becomes ravenous. It was previously a demonic axe. Now it's ravenous. Okay. Same range, same cleave, same 2 hammers. Goes up to 3 damage. So yeah, very much like Gurzag or Garrick. You're just popping up to that 3 damage range, which is a one-shot on a lot of your opponents in the game. Even more if you throw some sort of +1 damage on it, and there's a lot of +1 damage in the game. Highly respectable. Retains his cleave. The rest of his stats don't seem to change much. His movement goes up by 1. He goes from 3 to 4. That's pretty good, especially on a very aggressive and somewhat tanky character with his 1 defense dice. Doesn't gain any more defense dice, doesn't gain any health. He goes from average to pretty solid. But again, as I expected, not a really huge change from inspired to not inspired, which makes sense because he's not that difficult to inspire. The 3 damage here is the major takeaway. He is still going to be hampered, though, by his very average accuracy. 2 hammers, this is not that great, in my opinion. But, moving on. Gartok Flayskull. Oh, these names. Gartok Flayskull. Okay, same Inspire condition, same basic stat line, 314. He has a Gore Axe and a Gore Fist, which he uses with his Gore Armor, under which he has his Gore Underwear, and he's having a nice Gore day. How about you? Very standard melee attack, 1, 2, and 2. Basically what we'd expect to see from anybody else. His Gore Fist attack is range 1 dagger, which is abysmal. You are almost never going to hit with that, and only 1 damage. But that is a reaction. Reaction during an attack action that targets this fighter and has failed. You can make this attack action. It must target the attacker. So right out of the box, before anything happens, this guy has a riposte. This guy has a very weak version, a very inaccurate version of Angorad Bright Shield's ability. But also looking at this card, this fighter cannot be driven back. Now, this could be confusing on first blush, because is this as a result of his attack with the Gore Fist, since it's a reaction that comes from getting hit? I would say here, no. Because there is a line break right here between the description of the Gore Fist ability. Keep in mind, general abilities of a character, general passive abilities, are in this same box. Because there's a line break, I think this means he can never be driven back, ever. That may need to be FAQ'd. We'll kind of come back to that as we look at more cards and see more phrasing. But yeah, he's a solid guy. He has that hit back attack. It's got a pretty basic, standard Stormcast or Orc stat line. Interestingly, he is going to possibly punish you for hitting him. Not much, and he's probably going to miss. But it is an interesting game mechanic. Same Inspire condition, he just has to hit somebody either with his regular attack or with his Gore Fist. So he could... There's a very small chance that if he gets hit or gets attacked, blocks it, then turns around and shanks somebody with a Gore Fist, he could Inspire off of that, which is hilarious. But let's say he does manage to do that. He gets Inspired. Okay, so his Gore Axe attack goes to 3 hammers. We've seen this before on Angorad Bright Shield. And anybody who's played against a Stormcast or played as Stormcast Liberators knows just how accurate 3 hammers is. You can always rely on that hitting. His Gore Fist attack becomes a Swift Gore Fist. Goes up to 2 daggers, which is a little bit more respectable. Still not what I would call accurate. And it looks like his text abilities don't really change. It's still, during an attack action, targets this fighter has failed. You can make this attack action, must target the attacker, cannot be driven back. Yeah, again, I'm looking at that language, and the language does seem to suggest to me that that's not related to the Gore Fist. He just can't be knocked back, which is great if you want to hold objectives with him. A lot of models in the game have to get an upgrade to get the ability not to move. For him to have that base, it's really strong. His other stat line parts, very similar to Magore. Nothing changes except his speed. He gets up to a very, very quick 4 speed. Yeah, good, solid linebacker, this guy. All right, moving on to his buddy. Oh, man. This may be one of the dumber / awesomer core names. Zarkus the Blood-Sighted. He's blood-sighted. He sights blood. It's almost as awesome as Blood Secretor. Oh, man. Okay. Same Inspire condition. His melee attack is a pretty standard melee stat line. 1, 2, and 2. But he's got knockback 1. Nice. Okay, so very much like he's not quite as strong as Oberyn with the knockback, but he's a little stronger than Basha. 2 hammers is average. Good solid 2 damage. He also has the Gore Fist attack, and it's the same stat line as Gartok. Let's pull him down as well, just for comparison's sake. During an attack action that targets this fighter and has failed, you can make this attack action... Oh, it's different. During an attack action that targets this fighter and has failed, this fighter cannot be driven back, and you make this attack action. Okay, it must target the attacker. Okay, so notice the verbiage here, completely different. This, I think, goes out of its way to make sure that this cannot be driven back part is right in the middle of that paragraph, whereas this is not. I think that's intentional on Games Workshop's part. I think this is to definitely suggest to you that this is parenthetical in referring to the Gore Fist, and this is definitely part of the Gore Fist. So it's not as good. I mean, technically, he's anytime you attack him and fail, he's not going to get pushed back either. But the difference is the attack has to fail for him not to get pushed back. Gartok just never gets pushed back ever, even if somebody succeeds. He's just going to stand there and take it. Okay, interesting. So yeah, he's got the same Gore Fist attack, nothing different there, same stat line. Let's flip him over. Okay. So, okay, his Gore Axe, and let me check again here. Yeah, it goes from 2 to 3. 3 hammers. It's getting into that extremely accurate range. Yeah, overall, these guys are very accurate. They're not going to miss as much as you would expect for any given warband. Goes to 3 hammers, which is almost an auto hit. 2 damage, respectable. He also goes from 1 dagger to 2 daggers on his Gore Fist. And not quite as good as Gartok in that he could never be knocked back. This guy can be knocked back if you successfully hit him. Yeah, real interesting character. I think overall Gartok is better. Just because he seems to have the same things going for him. The big difference with Zarkus here is he's got that knockback, which is going to really help for board control, but board control does not seem to be what this warband is kind of going in for. They seem to be going in for high offense and high defense. Yeah, they're going to get a little bit of board control from their 4 speed once inspired, and they inspire very easily. I think that can't be stressed enough. But they, as you would expect from Khorne, they seem to be very geared towards violence. Okay. And now, Riptooth, the Doggo. Okay. Riptooth starts out at 4 movement. He's got dodge rather than shield, so he's going to be a little bit more vulnerable than his Blood Warrior buddies. He's got the same 4 hit points. He inspires under the same condition. His basic attack, claws and teeth. 1 hex range, 3 daggers. I always like 3 daggers better than I like 2 hammers. 2 damage, pretty solid. If you roll at least 1 crit, this attack action has cleave. When you're rolling 3 dice, it doesn't matter if it's hammers or daggers, you have a greater chance of throwing out a crit. So I like that. It does seem like most of the time he's going to have cleave. And this fighter cannot have upgrades which are attack actions. Okay, that makes sense, and it's something that I expected in my speculation with other Shadespire players. I've generally imagined that Riptooth would have some sort of verbiage indicating that he can't hold a sword in his mouth. So this means, no Hero Slayer, no Shade Glass weapons. He can't spit Shade Glass darts at people. Any upgrade that has an attack action with it. Not surprising, and given his basic attack, I'm not really sure that you would want to give him a weapon upgrade. He's already pretty solid. The big takeaway that I have looking at uninspired Doggo here is his speed. He is going to be very dangerous right from the get-go. Let's get him inspired. Let's say he bites somebody, gets a little blood, bites off a nice chunk of somebody. We'll flip him over. Riptooth inspired. Okay, same 1 hex range, same 3 daggers, goes up to 3 damage. That's pretty stout. Still gets cleave on a crit, still can't have upgrades. He gets even faster, going up to 5. That's Skaven speed. 2 dodge. Okay, so this guy turns into like a really violent killy Skaven, essentially, because he gets that a 2 dodge defense. Anybody who's tried to kill lurking Skaven knows just how annoying a 2 dodge defense can be. Same 4 hit points. I like this guy. I like this guy a lot, especially with that 5 speed. In my opinion, yeah, Magore is cool and everything. This is a real leader of the warband. This is best Doggo. This is the goodest boy. He is going to go in and completely wreck people. And the real thing to worry about when you're facing Riptooth, that 3 damage is great, but the fact that he has that 5 movement and he can deliver it almost anywhere on the board where it's needed, it's going to be very dangerous for you to try to keep, if you're trying to keep your leader alive, for example, the Warden Scritch, this guy is going to be a constant threat. His attack range is going to be huge. Okay, so looking at all of them now, overall thoughts. Right off the bat, I like it. These guys remind me of orcs in that their stats are solid. There's nothing on the cards themselves that really makes me flip out and get super excited. Just like when I was looking at orcs, they've got a very easy inspire condition to manage. I like the design space of having one member of the group that is completely different. And is a threat in different ways. It's going to keep your opponent guessing because they can't just treat these 3 guys as red Stormcast. You've got these guys, and then you've also got to worry about Riptooth that can pop out at any time and bite Scritch's head off, or the Warden, or anybody else. Maybe he can hunt down Chaff, or pull somebody off an objective in the last activation of an action phase. This guy's going to be super useful, and I would say that as if you're playing Magore's Fiends, a big part of what's going to separate the good players from the less good players is going to be how they use Riptooth. And I think if you're playing against Magore's Fiends, you're definitely going to want to try to mitigate or kill Riptooth as soon as possible, because he is going to be dangerous. As far as the other guys, and this is something that I'd kind of theorized, when I found out that this faction was going to be Blood Warriors. Blood Warriors, I'd imagine that the Gore Fist was going to be an important mechanic to them. So what this says to me, just looking at these cards, it says that you're going to be very aggressive. With the 4 speed, you're going to be pushing into enemy territory. You're going to be an immediate threat to them. And you're also going to try to force your opponent to fight you back. You're not going to be able to play keep away from these guys like you could from, say, Fire Slayers or Sepulchral Guard. These guys are going to demand your attention, and they seem to have reactions to demanding your attention. So it's going to create a very difficult choice for your opponent. Do they want to hit these guys and risk getting smacked in return? Because these two gentlemen here have that reaction game mechanic. Honestly, and this is sort of strange, Magore kind of feels like the least interesting part of this faction. Like, he's just kind of a regular guy. He hits okay, and by that I mean he hits like Steelheart or Oberyn. I mean, it's just 2 hammers, 3 damage. Yeah. He doesn't really have any special abilities other than being the leader. These two guys are much more interesting to me in terms of their game dynamic. And then Riptooth here is super interesting. I don't know. It remains to be seen what these guys are going to be like as we move further into the series and we take a look at their factional cards. I'm wondering if the factional cards are going to kind of reinforce this whole Gorefist mechanic of dealing damage whenever you are hit, as opposed to just when you're hitting. But yeah, I'd be interested to see what you guys think. Feel free to put your comments below and tell me what you guys think. And also, please like, share, and subscribe to help us support us in bringing you more Shadespire competitive content. In the meantime, y'all take it easy, and we'll see you later.